Everyone, thank you for tuning in today. Today at Hell Notes for Beauty, we're going to be talking about empaths and their emotions and surroundings and how you can deal with being an empath. Now you may ask yourself, what is an empath? An empath is most notably labeled as someone who is antisocial, who may be just overly shy. Some people label them as being dramatic. Others are known as just being overly intuitive, or just people who are really receptive and open to the emotions of others. Sympathizing and empathizing are two very different things. Sympathy is more of feeling for the emotion, whereas a person who is an empath or has is overly empathetic can actually take in and feel the emotions of that other person or situation as their own. So that's why it's very important for you to identify if you are really an empath and how you can most definitely kind of balance and bring that energy into perspective and how you can live with it in your day-to-day life. Especially sometimes when we deal and talk about emotions, we tend to tie it with psychological issues or traumas, which most definitely can be the case. But for the most part, it's an emotional balance that we need to understand and how we relate to not only ourselves, but to our environment and the world overall. We tend to forget that we are beings of light, beings that we have energy fields, that we are able to connect and interact with one another. Intuition is definitely one thing that I've been able to kind of develop and tie into what being an empath is. So today that's what we'll be talking about, just kind of helping you identify some of your emotions and why you may see yourself or why others may see you as being antisocial, or you may be dealing with social anxiety or just anxiety in general. So you want to just, find a way and a piece for you to find balance between the medium of just being a person who just wants to be out but just can't seem to grasp and understand what is going on with you on an emotional level. So before we get into the basis of what an empath is, I'm going to share with you a few points and guidelines from this book that I did download from Amazon. Kindle Unlimited, and it's called Empath 101, which is a basic primer of life as an empath. Now this is a very good book, and there are many books out there that you can most definitely look into to research the subject of being an empath. But for me, I found this book to be a little bit more easygoing and user-friendly for anyone who may want to look into further as to what an empath may be. So this was written by Damiana Alder, and again you can find this on Amazon Kindle Unlimited, which I have a $10 monthly subscription and have access to a number of books of a wide range of variety. So let's get into what is an empath. So here, the book discusses just ways in which that you can use tactics and also different characteristics and identify them, not only from yourself, but the people around you, and how you can apply them to your day-to-day life. Just being aware and conscious of anything can most definitely make the difference. Make a lot of difference, because you just don't understand what you're dealing with. So when you do find the answer, or at least a path, or at least an identifier that helps you understand what you're dealing with, can definitely be a good transition, and you can use that to your advantage as well. So in the book here, empathy is a connection to the entire universe. People who are emphatic can be, and most times are, sympathetic. As I was mentioning earlier, empathy is to feel the emotion, whereas sympathy is to feel for the emotion. So again, empaths are people who are extremely sensitive to the emotions of others. Now, in my case, on a personal basis, that can most definitely be a blessing and a curse, but again, it's all about balance. When I was growing up, I was and I still am, but I was very just overly sensitive about everything. I would watch a movie and just cry. I would see someone homeless in the streets and just completely cry. Dealing with some of the things around me in my neighborhood, the women around me, the people around me in school, I was just overly sensitive about all the things that I was dealing with. On some bases, I would of course cry and have that sad emotion. In some other bases, I would deal with anger. So So again, these are things that you want to make sure that you are aware of, not only for yourself, but children as well, and the people that are around you. You may seem that this person may just be overly dramatic, never wants to be around people, but you may want to ask yourself, why does this person feel like this when they are in maybe a large group or around people that they don't know or understand? At least for me, on a personal basis, when I go into a room, I can feel the emotions of so many different people at the same time. So it's very important for you to understand that and be able to ground yourself before you go anywhere, and also protect your energy field as well. If you are a person who are just susceptible to so many different people, be it in your surroundings at work or your exposure to people or just anything that has you dealing with a lot of different people and surroundings, is very important for you to look and see, how is it that I can balance myself? How is it that I feel when I'm around this person? How am I feeling when I am doing certain things? So those are things that you want to, again, just be conscious and aware of. So empathy is the ability to not only know or detect what others are feeling, but also experience that emotion yourself. So again, it's carrying that emotion with you. How do you feel after you leave the place, where there were a lot of people, or maybe just a few people, and you were dealing or interacting with a particular person? You may feel happy, or you just may feel a neutral way, and then all of a sudden you start feeling down or just heavy, or just start feeling that emotion that person was feeling or that environment was kind of promoting. So empaths are often very affectionate. They do make great listeners and can take on the role of therapist to almost anyone in their lives. Now, these are people that you can say, wow, I was feeling this way and then such and such person came over to me. Or you gravitate toward a person who seems to understand you a little bit more. Those are people that are empaths. Those are people who are able to receive and understand what you're dealing with, and also just kind of keep it in a neutral manner where there is no judgment. A lot of people tend to gravitate toward me when they do have problems or issues, be it in social media or in my day-to-day life. So I always try to make sure that I keep my distance, not in a matter where I'm just avoiding the person, but knowing and understanding, that I can't bring that emotion with me. In the beginning, I used to just perceive a lot of people's problems, emotions, and projections as my own. And I wasn't able to really kind of let that go and understand that, that is their issue and their emotion. I can feel for the emotion, have empathy for that situation, but I shouldn't take it on as myself. So you want to always be aware of those people who may call you every time they have a problem, or they just constantly gravitate toward you for every little thing. Again, it's a great thing because you want to be able to give people advice and help them, but at the same time, you don't want to take that energy in yourself and into your life, because then you're just recycling old emotions, and if you don't have an outlet for that, it can definitely be very detrimental for you. You can deal with physical emotions, headaches, nausea. You may just feel tired, constantly fatigued. Those are common symptoms that you may feel, especially when you are dealing with someone who is dumping energy on you. And as an empath, you're constantly open to different emotions and energies. So you want to not only protect yourself, but make sure that you do balance yourself in a manner that you're not just pushing people off, and you're not dealing with that antisocial stigma that empaths you typically tend to deal with. The next item here that I have is an empathy with control of their gifts can function as an emotional healer, helping drain off or mitigate the more extreme and overwhelming emotions like grief or depression. So again, if you're dealing with someone who is constantly sad, or is a person who is just misdirected, you want to give them direction, but at the same time, you don't want to go down that path as that same person and absorb that energy as your own. Unless you were very fortunate to grow up with a person in your life who knows about psychic gifts and empathy, you might think you are going crazy, or worse, your doctors and family think you are going crazy. Now, This is something that is a very touchy subject because there's matters of religion, matters of beliefs that are just kind of just social ideas as well. You have the media, a lot of things that do come into play when it comes to your personal gifts and powers. So you may think or feel or interpret things differently from other people, and they just cannot relate to you. So those are things that you want to make sure that you keep personal to yourself, and again, make sure that you understand and can balance and bring into your life into a more understanding perspective that not everyone is going to be like you and not everyone is going to understand you. A common side effect of empathy is having at least one of the normal five senses in hyperdrive. This could be a sense of hearing so highly amped up, small noises sound extremely loud, and living in a city with neighbors on the other side of a wall can be almost unbearable. A sense of smell so delicate that walking into certain shops will instantly make you nauseous or dizzy. So as I was mentioning as well, you can have a physical reactions to your environment, to the people around you. Some people can be very sensitive to light, can be very sensitive to a very degree of things that you can, to a common person, where it may just be this person is just really dramatic and just going overboard. Now, we're all empathy and we're all emphatic beings, but others are a little bit more sensitive than others. Others are just a little bit more grounded in who they are and what they believe in, and that energy of others they just really can't relate to, and that is fine. You don't have to be someone who relates to every person's emotion, but if you are an empath and a person who is different on that end, you want to be aware and make sure that you have that balance. Again, the key is balance with everything. Another thing that I was reading here is some of the empathy character traits. They feel strong emotions often and deeply without cause or reason. Again, you may see someone in the streets and you feel kind of that emotion. I tend to deal with that when I'm in a room. There's always one or two people that kind of stand out to me. I may not understand what they may be dealing with at the moment, but I know there is something that they are dealing with. So again, it's just being perceptive and understanding what people deal with on a regular basis, which life is not a place where you have a manual on how to live it. You have to understand the elements that are present and learn how to live with those different elements and how they may affect you and the people that are around you. Another thing that empaths do tend to deal with is they're easily hurt or upset by insults and unkind remarks. People tend to take advantage of you. They tend to take advantage of your generosity, and they tend to just gravitate toward finding ways to kind of manipulate and play into your weaknesses. So this can definitely come from not only friends but also family as well. Unfortunately, that is a true fact. Not everyone has a good heart or is open to being an empathic person and understanding what you may be going through. So that is something, again, that you want to be aware of, not only with yourself on an individual basis, but also with children as well. And young adults who are growing up, they may fall into peer pressures, or they may fall into just following others and shutting down their emotions. And then you deal with depression, you deal with addictions, you deal with a varying degree of things that are just used to mask the reality of what you're dealing with, which is that you are a sensitive person. And in our society, we tend to see that as a weakness and something that you want to play into and manipulate, which it is unfortunate, because there definitely are very good people who can be healers and also people, soothing partners to help you through the life, which is not at all times rosy or easy to tackle. But again, you always want to be open and remain positive with the energy that you do have and how you share with the people around you. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today and tuning into this first part of what is an empath and how you can identify some of the traits of being an empath. In the next series, I may get into a little bit more as to how you can protect your energy, protect your aura, and also build and kind of take into how you can develop and be more an empath and use that to your advantage as being a counselor or someone who can most definitely be of great courage in protecting the emotions of others. So again, thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you check out the info bar below to link to the blog and also my social media accounts. And of course, don't forget to visit the Etsy shop for any of your spiritual goods or needs that you may have, such as candles, incense, and so forth. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you stay always true to yourself and always look into the different ways and paths that you can develop yourself intuitively and spiritually. Thank you for tuning. Bye.